Good morning and welcome everyone to this week's webinar Wednesday on Wednesday the 17th of February 2021, and now also, as I think we said last week, streaming live through everywhere we've normally gone through, but also Citizen Network TV. So who knows, we may be getting viewers from around the world, June. So today,
yes.
So anyway, welcome from me, Keith Etherington, and Alistair Minty is on his holidays this week. So
I'm filling in. June Dunlop from Lincolnshire, Scotland.
Yeah, okay, thanks, June. Yes, so anyway, Alistair's supposed to be on his holidays, isn't he? But I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's still doing wee bits of work here and there, though.
Yeah. Okay, and today's guest is Susan Mckinstery from the Coalition of Care and Coalition of Care and Support Providers in Scotland. Get that right. Get those initials right. Coalition of Care and Support Providers in Scotland. And Susan is going to talk to us about some of the work they've done on big ideas, which is very opportune, very appropriate at this time because of the independent review of social care in Scotland, which is just out. Yeah. So what have you been doing this week, June?
Just been quite busy. Obviously, I'm finishing up for some annual leave next week, so just trying to kind of finish off quite a lot of admin stuff to complete. So busy.
Yeah, you've also been doing a bit of work with one of our partners, haven't you, with Neighbour Networks, who we normally
yes, just through some of their digital activities, just doing a wee bit of coordination around that. So that's been keeping me quite busy as well. So I had a few meetings set up for that.
Yeah.
So it's going well.
Good. And I suppose, like everyone, I think you're just hearing more and more, knowing more and more people who've begun to be vaccinated. I think, more people that I talk to saying, "Oh, I know, I've been vaccinated, or my relative has been vaccinated, or So
it is sounding quite positive. It's just, I think, just the same as everybody else and everybody you're talking to, you just kind of wonder when things are going to go back to a wee bit more normal, where we can start getting out and about again, especially now that the weather's changed a wee bit as well from last week, which is kind of positive.
Oh yeah, last Wednesday I do remember sitting in here last Wednesday with the snow on the skylights. So yeah, it's a big change this week, isn't it? To thinking
it's a lot milder.
Yeah. Actually, to be thinking that maybe spring is not too far away.
Yeah, and I think that kind of lifts you up a wee bit, doesn't it? I think it's that sense that you can start maybe even getting out in the garden and going through wee walks and things. Just and a good for your mental health.
And also just that the nights are a bit lighter as well now again, aren't they? I can't remember where I was, somewhere at the weekend, and it was still light just before 5 o'clock, and I thought, whoa. What's going on? In fact, I think
a lot light in the mornings as well. So
yeah, well, I mean, I don't really notice that bit, June. To be fair, I don't notice that bit. Okay, so I will just remind anyone who is watching live that they can make any comments for ourselves, or ask any questions for ourselves or any of our guests. Sorry, I was saying for our guests, but we have Susan this week. As we go through this morning, and we were just talking a little bit about the independent review of adult social care in Scotland, weren't we, June?
Yeah, and we shared that link last week, I think, when you and Alistair had held the webinar.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether any of you have had a chance to look at it or not.
Yeah, and it was released. It must be like 2 weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday, actually. The actual report came out, and just reminding people that there is a report. There's a short film of about 11 minutes that people can watch. And yesterday was the parliamentary debate on the independent review and discussion around the recommendations. And I think it's 1 hour. I think the parliamentary debate, you can access it very easily through Scottish Parliament TV. And I mean, this is me, but I would recommend going and watching some of it. And I'll just maybe share screen and share the very first part of that, Jim, do you think?
Yeah, be interesting to see it. I haven't had the chance to look at it yet, but
yeah. So this is Scottish Parliament TV, and this is the beginning of the parliamentary debate around the independent review of adult social care in Scotland.
Thank you very much. Presiding Officer, the independent review of social care gives us a clear roadmap for the future of care provision in Scotland. Central to its proposition is that we see and deliver on adult social care as an investment we make collectively in ourselves and in each other. It is a shift in thinking which underpins future funding, commissioning, regulation, and critically delivery. We believe in the recommendations in this report, and in the elections in May, we will ask the people of Scotland to back the creation of a national care service, a service on a par with our NHS. The foundation for delivering on the recommendations is the adult social care workforce. They must be recognised, offered opportunity to develop skills and expertise, and rewarded for the significant value they bring every day to the important job they do. And I will come to the specifics on that shortly. The backdrop to the review is clear in the terrible loss of life from the COVID-19 pandemic. I know I speak for everyone in this chamber when I offer my condolences to everyone.
Yeah, so I'm just stopping sharing there, June, because that's really just the very first introduction to the debate. And as I say, I think there's an hour and 54 minutes altogether, but the first 10 minutes there is Jean Freeman outlining current Scottish Government commitment to implementing the recommendations of the report, welcoming what it says, and thanking the people involved, everyone who is involved in whatever way in developing and feeding in their views to the report. So there are very significant things in there, with the ideas of commitment to ending all non-residential charging, the National Care Service, fair work and fair employment and wages for people working in social care. So it does talk about the radical change that it wants to see, and
there is a lot of big shift in there. So
yeah,
hopefully, with the recommendations that have been made, they'll be followed up.
Yeah.
So,
Interestingly, sorry, that Jean Freeman there talks about the two main concerns that she's heard. One is accountability and the role of local government. And the second one is this just something that people say and it's not going to make a difference to our lives again? So it's acknowledging that as well. So again, that's a good thing. So I
think historical, just even around a lot of the work that we've done through Control Scotland Kids, is that accountability thing.
Yeah.
It's always at the forefront, isn't it? It's usually about, and we hear the stories of different things happening in different areas, and nothing links in.
Yeah, so, absolutely. And the variation between one place to the next, like and your experience being different, and the report does clearly address that, and clearly acknowledges that, and clearly says that's not acceptable. Yeah.
And it's good to see that, that was coming out as one of the kind of strong recommendations that was made. So
yeah, and it does very clearly as well talk about addressing the implementation gap in what people expect, want, and is legally required under the self-directed sport legislation, and many people's experiences. So I'm just going to. Is there anything else that you would like? I think I should probably bring Susan in at this point, because I know Susan probably has got lots of things she'd like to say.
On it as well.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Just is there anything I've missed before we go into that discussion and bring Susan in and ask her about that and about her role with CCPS?
No, it's just been interesting to hear what Susan's got to say, because I know they've been doing a lot of that type of work as well through CCPS. So it's interesting to hear what Susan's going to say about it.
Yeah, here's Mark saying, "Hope you're doing well." So,
hi, Mark.
As we say, we welcome any comments from anyone who's watching now, and we'll bring Susan into our studio now. Hi, Susan.
Hello.
Hi, Susan.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
Doing well, thanks. Yeah. It's been an interesting couple of days just with the debate and things happening. So I've been trying to follow along with a bit of that. I need to catch some of it still, but yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, I just started watching it this morning actually, because I did know in my head that it was on yesterday, but I didn't think about it yesterday, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
somehow it's the sort of thing. I mean, this is me. Sort of thing that when I wake up in the morning, I start thinking, "Oh yeah, that was on yesterday." I watched that.
Have a look at it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a product of the way time is passing at the moment. It's very difficult to keep track on the timelines of things.
Yeah. Do you want?
And how have you
Sorry.
felt work-wise, Susan, just with the lockdown and just all the changes that's happened in that? How has that affected you? Or
it's been interesting
personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting, certainly in terms of work. I only started with CCPS in October, so yeah, it's been an interesting time to start a new job, and to start a new job with people that you've never actually met in person, and perhaps won't. You know, it's
strange.
Yeah, it's been odd, but I'm lucky enough that it's an organisation that's very open to new people asking lots of questions and taking time to read up and to learn and things like that. So yeah, it's been odd, but it's been good. It's been good.
Mm-hmm. So do you just want to introduce yourself, Susan? Just tell us who you are and what you do at CCPS.
Yeah. So apologies, I should probably have started with that. So Susan Mckinstery. I started, as I said, CCPS in October as an associate, working alongside their commissioning and procurement team, and a lot of the kind of project work that I've been doing is around the big ideas and sort of developing that and developing kind of engagement and kind of conversations about that piece of work, as well as looking at examples of providers that have maybe been implementing some of the ideas or some new ways of working during the pandemic. So yeah, a lot of hopefully kind of forward thinking stuff, which is nice in the middle of probably what feels like an endless lockdown. So
yeah. Yeah, I think we all feel that, just to a lesser or greater extent, depending on what day it is and what the news is that day, don't we? And
absolutely, yeah.
What were you doing before that, Susan?
So a number of things. I suppose came into CCPS from a kind of disabled people's organisations background. So a lot of involvement with and work alongside Glasgow Disability Alliance on their social care expert group and reforms groups. So from a kind of disability rights and user-led perspective, I'm also a social care user myself, so I've come very much from the lived experience point of view. Alongside that, I also do some sessional work with a community mental health project. So it's not social care, but from the kind of support provision point of view as well, a little bit. But yeah, much of my work with CCPS certainly is informed from the kind of user point of view. So it's been interesting to work in an organisation where that perspective is shifted to providers, and to see that side of things in a lot more clarity.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and
what kind of stuff? Sorry.
No, you go, Jim.
What kind of work is it you're doing with the big ideas, Susan? What does that entail? What is?
Yeah, so when I came into CCPS, that the kind of big ideas piece of work document, if you like, was already pretty well developed. The big ideas is a set of kind of 9 ideas or principles and ways to reform the social care system for everyone, for providers, for supported people, and for people who work in the commissioning, so the planning or the buying side of things. Just really, it's a recognition that we're in a time where the system has been, the social care sector, has been particularly challenged. alongside that, we also have a huge opportunity for a kind of rethink of everything, and that obviously falls into line with the review of adult social care as well. So it's, as much as it's been a very difficult time for the sector, it's also a time to look at how do we reimagine things. So the big ideas, it's kind of three main themes. The first is looking at the financial side of the financial systems and looking at a reset there in terms of national agreements and keeping money in the system. Local and participatory decision making, so it's moving the balance of power much more in the direction of people who use services, and a review of the system as it is, so looking at things like self-directed support and as you mentioned the implementation gap, looking at how we can work to implement SDS as it was intended, because it is a good piece of legislation. So
and I think, like you do say, this pandemic has kind of created a lot of opportunities for different thinking, more creative thinking around how we do things.
Yes, very much.
Certainly one of the positive things that's come out of the pandemic is how we do things going forward, in kind of new and better ways for people.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite, in some days it's quite hard to think beyond this, and other days it's easier. I'm just really reflecting on that and thinking that actually we do, as we've said lots of times, there is this almost like once in a life, well, it might feel like once in a very long period of time anyway, opportunity to recreate better, to do what people say, build better, don't they? They say build, and things like the independent review or the big ideas or the work that lots of people are doing can help to contribute to that. I was just gonna, and obviously what you talk about, big ideas, that fits very well with the independent review, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it does. And in fact, it was a piece of work that's actually referenced in the report itself, which is nice. But it's also good to see that the potential of it is recognised. So things like, one of the big ideas talks about sort of pressing pause on things like tendering and things like that to relook at how services are budgeted for or are financed, how they're planned differently in a much more collaborative way, with all stakeholders involved. So like, supported people, providers, commissioners, everyone. So yeah, certainly that's the hope, and it seems to be happening, that it fits very well with what's been recommended.
Okay. What are the what are the next stages of the work that you're doing on big ideas? That's really where are you now? So things I'm thinking about, where do people find out more? Can people get involved in any way still? What are the next stages? So I'm just thinking around all those things really at the same time. Lots of questions there, but
yeah. So the stage that we're at the moment, we already have, since I've come in, we've already had a couple of big kind of discussion events, I suppose, bringing together all the kind of entities that I previously mentioned. So so disabled people's organisations and providers and people in local authorities, etc., to kind of drill into the big ideas a bit more. And see where it may be applied to. We will be having.
Sorry, Susan. Did you freeze? I think you froze for a minute there. Is that right, June? Yeah, but you're okay now. Yeah, that's okay now.
Yeah, I think you just froze for a wee minute there.
Yes, you just missed the first bit of what you're saying, I think.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Apologies for that. So yeah, we will have an event coming up, hopefully in March sometime, with the Health and Social Care Alliance to generate more engagement with the big ideas and to see where it might be applied going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're okay. We're okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just maybe getting a couple of little technical glitches there, but we can still got
Apologies,
you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there'll be opportunities for apologies. Yeah. We're back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you fine now.
Yeah. Sorry, it's because I'm on a phone. This is why this has happened. So alongside further engagement, we'll also be launching a Big Ideas website where people can find out more about the piece of work there and get involved and give us their thoughts and their input into that.
So when you're going to be launching that, Susan?
Difficult to put a concrete date on that, but certainly probably within the next month, I would say.
Okay. Okay. And where can people? I know that when we first started talking, you shared a report. Is the report publicly available now of the work that you've done so far?
Not quite as yet, no, but that will be as part of the website. that will be available.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to cough a little bit. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So there will be what you're saying that there's likely to be a larger public event sometime in March. A new website coming out about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that'll include the information on the work that you've done so far.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly that. And it will allow people to kind of explore that a bit further and see how it would apply to their work or to their own lives.
Yeah. Okay. So part of what you've been doing is gathering some of those big ideas, which are ideas that. So what would you? So I was going to ask you, how would you define a big idea, first of all, and then secondly, what are some of the best ideas or some of the ideas that have sort of engaged with you? Yeah.
So sorry, the first part of that you asked how you would define a big idea, yeah?
Yeah.
So yeah, because there are 9 of them, it's difficult to kind of encapsulate everything. But so yeah, things like so the local and participatory decision making. So yeah, moving power much more in the direction of supported people and ensuring that people are involved. And ensuring people are involved right from the start of sort of budgetary decisions, commissioning decisions, things like that. Hello, can you hear me still?
Yeah, I think we're just having a wee bit more technical issues.
Yeah, apologies.
No problem. This sometimes happens.
So I suppose it's going back to that kind of basic where the person should be in control and be kind of helping to make those decisions about their own support and.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's making sure that the choice and control rests with supported people. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, you were just saying there's sort of the 9 themes in the. Is that right, Susan?
So there's 3 main themes and 9 big ideas. Yeah.
Right. Okay. What are the three main themes?
And a system review.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's good. Okay, I was just going to ask about
Can I just ask you, when you're talking about system review, Susan, are you referring to the kind of financial side of things around that? Because I know a lot of the things that we've come across in the past is that kind of thing, though, that the system says no, and usually it's to do with kind of financial, like about people, how they use their budgets and how they spend their budgets. Is that included in that?
Yes, it's included in that. And I mean, a lot of the system review is focused on self-directed support and making sure that works better, or that's implemented in the way that it was intended to. So, yeah, included in that, we'll be looking at the ways people are able to use their budgets, or are able to be involved in decisions about their budgets and things like that.
In a way it makes sense for them.
Yeah, and for outcomes that make sense for them at that particular time in their life, which is, we know, can change over the course of someone's life as well. So,
yeah, that opportunity for that flexibility is one of the areas, isn't it, that we would always want to focus on. That's right. People's lives change, so the decisions you want to, and people's circumstances change, so the decisions that you want to make should be able to change as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the independent review, one of the things the independent review talks about, and that was discussed in Parliament yesterday, is that idea of the end of all charging.
Yes.
Yeah. Where does that fit with the big ideas, do you think, Susan?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly it's pretty radical, and it does fit very much in with the ideas around looking at a reset of the financial system, so making sure that things aren't driven by profit, and things that money is reinvested, which in terms of charging things, makes things much more person-centered and much fairer for everyone trying to access the system.
Yeah. I also, one of the things that I was interested in when I started watching the debate was mention of, what was it called? It was called Community Living Change Fund. I don't know. Did you hear about that as well?
Yeah, I the part that I've been able to watch so far, I did hear about that.
Yeah, and that seems to be it'd be interesting to find out more about that, of course. But it seems to be a fund of money, particularly to support to be able to develop new supports for people who are either placed in institutional settings or have had to move away from their own local area, or are placed a long way away from home. So that sounded to me really interesting.
Yeah, it's about supporting people to live lives within their own communities, and to have relationships and connections and opportunities to participate that everyone else has.
Yeah.
And that kind of fits in with some of the work we've been doing, Keith, around the new routes home.
Yeah, fits in very well with the new routes home work. Yeah. Susan, we're involved in a partnership called New Routes Home.
No, I wasn't actually. No. So we're involved in this partnership. It's called New Routes Home. We're doing a workshop on it at the SDSS National Voice event on the 17th of March this year. And it very much fits in with that idea of people being able to get the right support for them to be able to live in their own homes, in their own local communities, and trying to find solutions to those situations where that's not the case at the moment. So that felt like it fitted really well with that idea of the. It really speaks to that. Yeah. It
It does. I'm just going to mention one of the other things that I thought was really interesting as well in the debate. And again, it may be something that we, to some extent, you might think you've heard that sort of thing before, but it's the fact that when people say, how can we afford to do all these things currently within this, and particularly within the challenges that are around at the moment, but the other way to look at that is, how can we afford not to do this?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. How can we afford not to when there are rights that are not being upheld, where there is potential for people to live fulfilling lives and to contribute, that's being lost as well by lack of access to good care and support. So yeah, I would agree.
Yep. Okay. When you look to the future, Susan, just so when you look to the future, what do you think? This might be a difficult question. Sorry, it might be a difficult question, but what are your hopes for the new normal when we get out of this situation then?
Ooh.
Top things. What are the top things that you think about when you think, when this is all over, when we're getting back to something that feels like it's a more ordinary, more normal life? What are the things that you think you want to be different? You don't want to go back to how they were.
I mean, I think certainly for not just for working life, I suppose for kind of social involvement as well. I think one of the things that we've learned is that a lot of the things that we were told that weren't adaptable or weren't possible to make accessible to people actually are. And I would hope that we remember that going forward, that there are multiple ways for people to work and for people to be involved in their communities. And yeah, I hope that a lot of those are retained, much as, you know, a lot of people, I can understand they're desperate to get back to kind of, you know, in-person contact and face-to-face, and that's not always the most accessible for everyone. So I think, you know, remembering that we need to retain different options, and if things are made more accessible for the most marginalised, if you like, or most excluded, then they're better for everyone. Don't know if that's too vague, but that's I'm aware that people can have short memories, and I just hope that we remember a lot of that learning.
I think that's right about. I don't know whether does anything you want to say there, June?
Just what Susan was saying. I think throughout this pandemic, we have been doing things a lot differently, and we have been able to include a lot more people. And there's a sense going forward now to keep that. And like, you know, a lot of people have habits of just kind of slipping back into their old ways again, which we don't want to happen going forward. We've had a lot of good opportunities come up, and even talking to people, they feel more involved. They've been able to interact more with people and doing things in a different way. So we don't want to lose that.
Yeah. I think the other thing I think about what you said there is systematically that's the case as well, isn't it? Those things that the system previously thought you couldn't do, and sometimes now people are able to do it just because they have to do it.
Yeah.
So it's not losing those things that actually don't need to have such a great level of whatever bureaucracy or process around them, that actually can be done more simply.
Yeah. And there was a sense at the beginning of all this around flexibility, and we had to kind of face that with a few people that's linked in with us as well, Keith, about people being able to be flexible with their support throughout this time. And I think at the beginning there was a bit of a struggle around that. You know, some people weren't willing to give that flexibility, some local authorities, whatever, and that kind of shifted, kind of moving forward. So it's that sense that you can change the system, though you can do different things. It doesn't need to be static. It doesn't need to be.
Yeah. Things can pivot a lot more easily than people thought they could. Yeah.
And it's just giving people the opportunity to do that. And that's proven that you can do it.
Yeah.
So let's not lose it.
There's a question come here. It's good, and it's a big question. Question come in, and it's a big question again, and it's so Craig, who's watching, saying, "What happened to disabled people's human rights?" And I think, I don't know whether you want. Do you want to say anything about that just now, Susan? I mean, it's a big question, of course, and it's.
I mean, I think we have. Yeah, the more challenging side of things is that we have seen a great deal of infringement actually on disabled people's human rights. You know, where, for instance, things like support packages were lost. You know, and people were left unsupported for periods of time. Some still are. And yeah, I mean, hopefully with the independent review, with some of the work that we're doing, we're looking at a system that is based on people's humanity, on human rights, on people's kind of aspirations for what they want their life to look like, as opposed to, you know, concentrating on where your deficits are. You know, it's much more about how do you imagine your life to be, and how can we facilitate that through the appropriate care and support.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there has been a lot of conversations recently around disabled people being left behind, you know, throughout this, and different things happening, and they've been kind of forgotten about.
Yeah.
So that seems to be a lot of kind of conversation that I'm listening to just now at the moment. So.
Yeah, and I think it's important, and hopefully it has been. It's important that is heard and reflected. It's not just about building back better. It's about reflecting on where that has come from as well. That's not just come about as a result of the pandemic. That's as a result of,
you know, ongoing
deficiencies in the system that were there, you know, long before.
Absolutely, and maybe what the pandemic has done has sort of both highlighted and accentuated, made worse some of those systematic flaws in the system, in the way that things have been happening. Yeah. I think it's also fair to say that those conversations and those feelings are prevalent with many carers and many family members as well, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And the kind of invisible role often the unpaid carers or family play, you know, in supporting people. And also the recognition, because I mean, that is personally my own experience, that although I am a social care user, I also so is my partner, and I have provided support to them where, you know, kind of statutory services have kind of fallen by the wayside in the pandemic. So recognition that a lot of unpaid carers also are people with support needs themselves, and that you know, that their rights and their position needs to be brought into the light a bit.
I do think there is certainly more debate around that now, isn't there? And there's more debate about human rights as the basis of all support, and the discussion around social care provision being provision which is about all of us. It's about how we want society to be.
And a recognition that decent social care provision is something that or social care provision in general is something that will impact everyone at some point, whether it's yourself or it's someone close to you. And so it's kind of elevating the status of that you know, in the same way as healthcare. You know, it's something that we all have a kind of stake in, if you like.
Yeah, and also what you said earlier, that it benefits all of us. Having a social care system that works well benefits all of us. Makes life better for all of us. Yeah. So, have you got any final questions, June?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'd just be interested. I'm going to have a look at that debate now that we've been speaking about it, just to kind of see what they're actually saying.
I was just going to ask. Yeah, I was just going to ask Susan if people want to find out more about the big ideas work that you've been doing, what should they do?
So if you keep an eye on the CCPS website, the main website, and also look out on that for the launch of our Big Ideas website in the next few weeks. And we will also be sharing events and opportunities for engagement for various groups of people within that. Yeah.
So you do have some information on the big ideas on the CCPS website at the moment. I know you have not launched the website yet, but people could find some information on there.
There is a section within our commission procurement talking about the work that's been done, up until now on that piece of work. Yeah.
And what is the main CCPS website? Is it CCPS? Is it?
Yep. Bear with me a second. I'll just get that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Just while you're doing that,
yep.
I was also going to ask you my final question, really, which is just if there is anything else that you'd like. Really, I'm just giving you the opportunity for any final comments. Anything else that you'd like to tell us about that you're involved in, or anything, just really, or things that you think you'd like us to, anyone who's watching this to think on or to hear, just as your final comments.
Yeah, I think just the fact that I'm hopeful, and it's perhaps in the last year or so maybe that's been difficult to hold on to. I'm hopeful that with the independent review, with the work that we're doing, with the amount of engagement from organisations like In Control Scotland and your SDS collective, I'm hoping that we can reimagine a social care system that we always intended to build. That is based on tapping into people's aspirations and the potential that they have to be part of their communities, to contribute, to showcase their creativity and their ideas. I suppose that's just the final thing, and for people to kind of keep that for any kind of decision makers or people that are going to be responsible, as hopefully we'll be part of implementing the review's recommendations, just to keep that in mind. That this is an investment. It's an investment in ensuring that all of us can not only live good lives but can showcase our potential.
Okay, live our best lives. That's what we all want to do, isn't it, Susan?
So the website, I just wanted to make sure I got the ending correct. It's it's www.ccpsscotland.org. Yeah.
Okay, I've just put that up just underneath there as well, so that should be showing for everybody just now. Yep, on the various platforms. There we are. Okay. Yep. So thank you for joining us today, Susan. Thanks for telling us about Big Ideas. We will be back next Wednesday with Webinar Wednesday. On Friday, we will be doing our regular Feel Good Fridays at 1 p.m. I'm hosting that this week. I don't usually do that because it's usually Alistair, but as Alistair's on holiday, I'm hosting that this Monday. There isn't a Tuesday talk next week. Next Tuesday talk that we do will be in 2 weeks' time with Dr. Danielle Farrell. And the flyer for that will just be going out soon, won't it, June?
Yeah, I'll go up today actually. Okay. And then we've got the next Stay Up Late music session coming up as well. First Friday in March.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks on Friday, isn't it, that one? Yeah.
So I'll get some information over flyer out about that as well.
Yeah. Okay, and then later on this morning, I will be joining the SDS Collective meeting, which is a meeting every Wednesday from 12:30. So if anybody hasn't, I know you mentioned it there, Susan, if anybody hasn't heard of the SDS Collective or would like to find out more, please just get in touch. Okay, thank you. Nice to speak to you today.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us.